Do you have questions about buying or selling a home, not sure if you're qualified? Your local real estate agent Antoinette Ware is here for you. Do you live out of town, moving out of town, or looking for investment property? Well, let's work together and make it happen. Antoinette Ware can be reached at 419-917-6258. The name you know, celebrating over 20 years, serving Toledo and surrounding areas. Frida's Cleaning Service is a small family-owned business established in 2003. With over 17 years of professional, high-quality, and greatly satisfied service, the Frida's Cleaning Service will get the job done. Specializing in sanitizing your home, business, post-construction, and commercial cleaning, no job's too big or small. See for yourself and give us a call, 567-249-9172. La Frida's Cleaning Service. Our reputation is always spotless.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hi, this is TV comedy impressionist Christopher G from the other side of the pond saying hi, and I love the Queen Silvy show.
This is Pepper Gomez of Wake Up Music, and you are listening to my favorite, The Queen Silvy Show.
Hey, this is Rocky Athos, the Texas Tornado, and you're listening to The Queen Silvy Show. You guys keep rocking the blues.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live, it's time for the silky smooth sounds of Smooth Tim and Her Majesty herself, Queen Silvy.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you so very, very much for dropping by and spending another terrific Tuesday with us on the Queen Silvy Show. It is now my pleasure to bring to you the world's sexiest granny, the Queen herself, Queen Silvy.
That's right. It is me, Queen Silvy. on this terrific Tuesday, the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this great world today. I hope you're ready. You know it. Super greatness is you are in store for. That's right. Smooth, how are you?
I'm doing terrific on this Tuesday, Queen. How are you doing?
As always, I'm supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, I suppose, is 24/7, 365, Queen. So you're always simply
Amazing. I know, right? Oh, boy, I tell you, get with it, because I am amazing. But you are amazing, Smooth. You are amazing. We have an amazing guest today.
Yes, we do. We have a musical sensation on today, Rick Revel.
Rick Revel.
Everybody's going to love him.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, some real good music and, hey, announcements. As always, how come there's always something going on around the world? Internationally or domestically, it's like, wow. But in any regards, our thoughts and prayers are out there with you, and as the Queen and I always like to say,
Faith over fear, that's
people.
right.
We'll get past all this. And shout outs real quick from last week's show. United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, Germany, Poland, Africa, Ireland, France, and Australia. Thank you all guys for tuning on in last week.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
that.
We certainly do appreciate that. In fact, if you're watching this live, I want you to know that Smooth and myself, we love and appreciate you. And if you're watching this later on our archive,
Our love is everlasting.
that's right, our love is everlasting. You do, by the way, have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else to come on in and get this super greatness we have in store for you. Before we get things going with my wonderful guest today, what I like to do at this moment is I like to share some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. I can't go a day without music. Music is basically the only thing that understands me. That's because music is the most powerful form of communication in the world. I mean, there's music in the air, there's music all around us. In fact, music, we're all full of it, right? I mean, no matter what type of music, turn up the volume. Close your eyes and let the music take over your soul. The greatest respect an artist can give to music is to give it life. That's right. Hey, and those are some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. I'm going to keep these going because I do want to give some shout outs to my friends, to my good kings and queens all over the world, like Pepper Gomez and Wake Up Music Group, Holistic Health Advocate Marva Riley, Marie McKenzie and the International Sexual Assault Recovery Institute, Carmen Jewel and Massage Therapy by Carmen, Simone Enterprise and Entertainment Company, and the Simone Family Foundation. A Journey Through Healing with Beatrice Crawford Daniels.
Shout out to you.
Kinsley Patino, Queen Jenna, Queen Ashley, Follette Clark, and Connette Rawls.
Shout out to you.
The Helen Myers, Peace Myers, Corey and Casey Patino, and Joan Mercer.
Shout out to you.
To Queen Aaliyah, Asia Tay, Maya, Camille, and Dejour.
Shout out to you.
To my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, yeah.
Shout out to you.
To Jonathan Easley, Lee Allen Sr., Wade and Katrina, LP and Cynthia, Melvin and Teresa, Kaki and Mike.
Shout out to you.
To Queen Sonia, Kaki, Shanika, Alana, Brianna, and Precious.
Shout out to you.
To Nancy, Delia, and Chrissy from Fort Worth, Texas.
Shout out to you.
Ryan and Kelly and the All-American Boys, Matt and Tracy and the All-American Girls.
Shout out to you.
That's right. I think I need to pause for the calls and clear my throat. One moment, please.
Woof, woof. Meow. Really?
Ooh, yeah, baby. It's the ribbit. I put a stamp on it, but don't knock it until you try it. To Pamela Anderson, C. Shorty Franklin, Patricia Wilhelm McGiffin, Renita Easley, Gold Rosa, Donna Ferry, and Pam Bailey.
Shout out to you.
To my good friends in Africa, Amy Kanema, Websterito, Hostile Flow, Hero Boy, and Princess Irialua.
Shout out to you.
Sabrina Williams, Pinky Harmon, Sassy Savage, Robin Taylor, DJ Team Broke 100.
Shout out to you.
To my good friends in United Kingdom, Beth Lambert, Nicola Jones, Bethany Jones, and Kay Cross.
Shout out to you.
Lorenzo Gabaniza, Christine Lewis Anderson, James and Audrey, Sirius Edition, and Anna Linda Hartley.
Shout out to you.
To Edith Verhook, Queen D. Brown, Sandra and Ben Johnson, Melody Gorp Dobbs, Miguel Montebon, Brian Pearson, and my good friend, Joe Matz.
Shout out to you.
That's right. Hey, listen, if you would love to be shouted out, if you have someone you would love for us to represent and shout out, We will hook you up 3 days a week, every Tuesday with the multiple award winning The Queen Silvy Show, every Wednesday with Tim's Tidbits, and every Thursday with the Now You Know Show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim. As we bring the best in live entertainment, talents, topics, and resources from around the world just for you. Hey, check out this resource. And when we get back, the ball is always rolling with super greatness we have in store for you on The Queen Silvy Show. Hi, I'm Queen Silvy of the multiple award winning The Queen Silvy Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Silvy or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah. Hey, we are back on this terrific Tuesday. Ooh, I hope you're ready for this super greatness we have in store for you. As I said before, you do have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else who come on in and get the super greatness we have in store for you. With a deep passion for American history and music, oh, you are in for a treat. Sharing his journey, showcasing two of his award-winning chart-busting songs from his latest album entitled That Muscle Shoals Sound. Live from Tennessee, I introduce to you multi-talented, multiple award-winning songwriter, singer, actor, author, TV host with over 50 years in the music industry, Rick Revel.
Good to be here. I'm with the Queen.
You know you are, and I hope
with
that
the Queen.
I'm honored. I'm really honored that you took the time to be here on the show. We are looking forward to some more great music. Smooth and myself already been jamming all weekend, but hey, cool. You are a legend. You are world renowned for many accomplishments, and I must say so much so that it isn't enough time to properly give credit where credit is due. But before we get into your fantastic music, I want you to briefly touch on a couple of things. And you know, when it comes to American history, you're exceptional. And you know this. You are exceptional. But tell me what or who sparked your interest and passion for American history?
Well, this is a very simple little story. Back in the bicentennial year of 1976, I went on the bicentennial wagon train, something that very few people know about, but there was an event called the bicentennial wagon train. The state of Pennsylvania helped to sponsor it. It was to start out west, go back east. It was kind of in reverse. The old saying, "Go west, young man," was something that they did to settle the wild, wild west. Well, and they wanted to celebrate the bicentennial, so they did it in reverse. So covered wagons started in the west, came back east, and ended up at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And I caught up with them at Memphis, Tennessee, rode all the way to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. While I was there, I had a chance to see where George Washington was camped out with the Continental Army.
Wow.
And camped on the same ground where the soldiers would sleep. And so that within itself, that'll get into your bones and get into your spirit. And I met some individuals. Mike Tully lived, his house and his property bordered the Valley Forge area. And he heard me playing and singing, and he had an advertising agency, and he wanted me to write jingles, sing-along commercials for some of his clients. And I said, okay. So I started flying back and forth from Nashville, Tennessee to Philadelphia, Valley Forge area, and started doing jingles. And so it gave me time on my downtime to go back to Valley Forge. And I had a chance to be around the places where George Washington would be, and I had this curiosity. I'd always seen that portrait of him praying by the stump. He had a prayer. He was very bothered. He was staying at the Potts house, and he never could settle with himself. He kept getting beaten. The British had him beat. And so he wanted to find a place to pray, some solace, to get out, some solitude, get out by himself. So he finds this stump, and I asked the park ranger, where would this stump? I'm sure it's gone by now, but where would it have been? And so he showed me where the remnants of the old stump was, and I went out there, and he left me. And I just stood there and I kept hearing this voice speak to me, tell my story, tell my story. And it's like, wow. And so I'm 19, 20 years old. And it's like I'm hearing this voice deep inside say, tell my story. So I've been trying ever since to tell the story and try to
Well,
get it
I'm
right.
certain that
So
he's going job well done because you're doing a dang good job on there. You're also the author of two books. One is a historical fiction novel based on the real life of Captain Jack Henson. The
oh,
book
it's a
is
fun story.
entitled
It's a
"In
fun
the
story.
Hills of Tennessee: The Uncivil
Hmm.
War,
Yep.
1862." Tell me about this
Yep.
book, and for anybody that's unaware, who is Captain Jack Henson?
Well, Captain Jack had an interesting story. He tried to remain neutral. He did not want to be involved in the war. He was working there in the Old South. He was trying to stay neutral, and he even got ahead of President Lincoln. He went ahead. He did have slaves, but he wanted to go ahead and free his slaves, so he did. And they were all still living there, helping him work the farm. When the Union Army came in, they wound up murdering two of his sons. From that, he quit being neutral and he went and tracked down the men that murdered his sons, killed his sons. And so it was kind of a book about vengeance,
Mm-hmm.
him going out and tracking down those men that killed his sons. Had a special made rifle. Then he became a wanted man, and more men came after him.
Mm.
It is recorded he killed up to well over 100 men, possibly 130 men
Wow.
that kept coming after him. And it's a very interesting story. For a man to try to remain neutral, it didn't turn out too well.
Right.
And it didn't for the men to come to track him down either. So
Well, that is
it was,
interesting. I'm like you can. Well, I can imagine. You can tell a story and just captivate people because I'm already captivated. I'm like, hey, okay. But the other
and
book
it's
that you,
interesting. It's interesting. As a matter of fact, one of the black gentlemen that was with him, a former slave, stuck with him the whole time, and they did a lot of things together. He had a Native American that was working with him. That was the grandson of John Ross, which was chief of the Cherokees. The Trail of Tears went right through this area,
mm,
and so John Ross, the next generation of John Ross, the chief, his name was John Ross also. He winds up being in the area. He's kind of orphaned in the area. His mom dies on the Trail of Tears. And so he's in the area. So it's kind of a nice little hodgepodge of interesting characters
mm,
as they have to kind of go up against the federal army that's occupying the area. It was under martial law.
mm-hmm.
And so the local police, there was no marshal or sheriff anymore. It was all under martial law. So they had
Wow.
to contend with that. So it's an interesting story.
Well,
It takes American history and presents it from a whole different perspective because in our mindset we see the Civil War one way, and this shows us a whole different way to look at it
mm-hmm.
from somebody else's different viewpoint,
Right.
and it's based on an actual autobiography about the characters. So all I do is give them a voice,
Well, you
but I
know
base
what?
it on this
What I
much
like about
historical.
it,
Yeah,
what I like about you and what you do is, in schools they skip things. They don't tell
they do.
you a lot of everything, and you bring it.
Right.
Not you don't only tell it, but you bring it to life. Because I saw a picture of you dressed up like, was it George Washington? And I'm like, hey,
I
there's
do that.
George. There's actually George right there. But
Right.
you're
And I try to
exceptional.
do that. I try to do that, Miss Sylvia. I try to take, and I call it edutainment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Merle Kilgore, which was Hank Jr.'s manager for many years, uh, he liked what I was doing. He said, you're a right now you're trying to fight in Nashville, Tennessee, and get into the music business. And he said you're just a small fish in a big pond. But he said, and what you're doing with history, you can be a big fish in a very small pond because there's very few people doing it.
Very much.
And when I told him about the edutainment thing, he said, that's great. He said, you need to focus on that. So that's what I've been doing for all these years.
Good for
And even a
you.
lot of my music does that, like The Father of the Blues. It's telling a story about W.C. Handy. So you're
Who
doing
no
all
one
these
knows
things.
that W.C. Handy is known as the father of blues, but we're going to tap
Yes,
on that in just a few
we will.
minutes.
Yeah.
But the
So
other
that's,
book,
but the book, it's just one of those stories that it will captivate you. It will
mm-hmm.
bring you in. And all of a sudden you're learning things about the Civil War and this time period. They're going, I didn't know that happened.
Mm,
I didn't know there was martial law. I didn't know
mm-hmm.
that. And because you just think about battles, you
Mm-hmm.
think about the battles, you think about the North, the South, you think about these objectives, the calls or whatever, but you don't get a chance to really meet the people that were left behind.
But you take them there. That's what you
And
do.
that's what I try to do. Take them there in Dover, Tennessee. The Battle of Fort Donelson is over. So after that happens, here's a farmer, Jack Henson. He owns a business, Henson's Mercantile. And so he has to him and his family have to deal with the Union Army on a daily basis. So that's what it's talking about, is how they had to deal with them.
Outstanding. The other book
It's
is
fun.
entitled The Mint Julep Letters, and that's the story of Captain Todd Carter. Well, I'm like,
Yeah.
Captain Todd Carter? Who is Captain Todd Carter? Tell me about your book.
Okay, he was very interesting. He left home in May of 61, and he did not go back home till November of 1864. And so he's gone that entire period of time. He's fighting with the Army of Tennessee. He's on the Confederate side of the war. And he leaves home, never goes back home. He becomes a quartermaster, which means he's an individual that helps to find the provisions for the Army. And so that becomes his full-time job. He was training, or he was under a lawyer. He was learning to be a lawyer. He's an apprentice lawyer, they called it back then. So he was learning to be a lawyer before the war. He goes off. He could write well, so he became an adjutant and to some of the generals and commanders. And so they trusted him and trusted his judgment. So he remained with the Army, never took furlough. And then in November 30th of 1864, the Battle of Franklin takes place. And lo and behold, the Battle of Franklin is on his farm. And he sees the Union Army on the other side of the field. And he mounts his horse, and which is named Rosecrans, after General Rosecrans of the Union Army. And in the 20th Tennessee, he leads the charge across the field. And he's hit 20 times by Union bullets, mini balls that they were called at that time. And he's hit, and they find him after the battle's over. Smoke clears. Union Army falls back to Nashville. Confederate Army possesses the ground. His body's found. He's still alive, barely. And they take him, and he winds up dying in the bedroom where he slept, and in the house where he was born. So
Wow.
it's a very intriguing story about everything he dealt with. The mint julep came from the fact that he was a writer, and he wrote about the war and submitted it to the newspaper articles. So that's where the mint julep comes from. That was his pen name.
Wow.
So yeah.
So
it's kind
tell
of a
me,
fun
how
story.
can everyone obtain these books? Where can they go to obtain them?
Best place is where you can find my books as well as my music and other things. It's on www.rickrevel.com on the internet, and I have a little store attached to my website. So just go there, and you get a chance to see some of the items I have. So
Just listening to you answer, just listening to you speak, I can hear your passion and, believe me, your knowledge. I could see you kicking butt on a Jeopardy show with category history. Oh my God, you would win, whip it all down. But that's pretty good. And you take all of this knowledge and you combine this all because people can rediscover America 1 mile at a time.
That's it.
Because
Yes,
you
ma'am.
host your own TV show, History Highway, which is packed with adventure as you learn some of the lesser known stories from the pages of American history. I think that is so great. You just had an episode that I was showing Tim about that was pretty interesting as well. And I would love for everyone to get engulfed and learn some things that they, believe me, didn't know, because sometimes this is the media only going to show you, and sometimes teachers are going to teach you so much in a book when there's so much more to engulf in it, and you bring that to life. Tell me about this show and how everyone can check it out.
Well, the best way to find it, I have out my own TV channel. It's called AME TV, American Music and Entertainment Television. And it's on Roku and Amazon Fire. And you can find that just if you have a Roku device or Amazon Fire Stick. Just type it into, go to your home page, type it into the search engine, and you'll find AME TV on the channel. History Highway is there. We're also on Canyon Star TV. We're talking to a couple of outlets right now. So History Highway is starting to try to get off the ground.
Yeah.
It's actually trying to get off pretty nicely. And it's because we're doing stories about things like the Trail of Tears, but we're doing it from a whole different standpoint. We're trying to do it to where when you watch History Highway, you think you know something about the Trail of Tears, or you think you know something about Frank and Jesse James, but when we get into the story, you're going, dang, I didn't know
Right?
that. Because Frank and Jesse James, we see everything from Hollywood. It's all from out west. You think, well, everything was the wild, wild west. Half of their criminal career was east of the Mississippi. They stayed in Tennessee and Kentucky, robbed banks in Tennessee and Kentucky. They went up to Mammoth Cave and actually robbed a stagecoach.
Hmm.
They
Wow.
robbed a bank in Russellville, Kentucky. That's not talked about. And
Right.
so I try to cover the things that you don't normally hear about pieces of history.
And I love it. I love it. You're born and raised on a cattle farm, which you still reside in. Am I correct?
I do. I'm living in Mom and Dad's place. Long story short, when they got sick, they said, we'd love for you to take care of us because, and I felt obligated because they're my parents.
Right. Right.
They raised me. So for about a 10-year period, the first 5 years was just, they could still take care of themselves pretty well. So I would go out on the road and do my things, and I'd come and I'd, take care of the house and whatever the needs they had. And they got to where neither one could drive, so I would do all the shopping. Then the last 5 years, they couldn't do anything hardly for themselves. So they're in and out of the hospital. At one time, both were in the hospital, separate hospitals, two different cities. That was
Wow.
fun. And
Wow.
so I spent 5 years doing that. And once both have passed away, I go back to working on my careers because I put my career totally aside, shut everything down just to take care of them. So the book, I started writing in the hills of Tennessee while I would be sitting in the hospital. And what little downtime, I'd take my laptop and I would kind of type out the story. And then when they both were passed away, then I took and organized it, made a book, and got it published. And History Highway, I had started kicking that idea around in 2019. I was doing some commercials basically for tourism for Stewart County, where I had written the book about in the hills of Tennessee. The local chamber of commerce and the mayor there said, "Hey, we'd love for you to help promote our area." So while we were shooting these promotions for Stewart County for tourism, we took sitting for lunch, and I was sitting there with my director producer guy, Ken Andrews, and he said, "Man, if you could do your own TV show, what would you call it?" I said, "History Highway." He said, "What?" He said, "You thought about this, haven't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I've thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
I've actually scripted it before and got a good thumbnail of it." And so we started working on it. And then COVID hits in 2020. And so it kind of got sidelined, all the energy we put into it and the momentum we had. I actually even had some nibbles from some people that were working with Discovery Channel that worked on the Shark Week. If you ever see Shark Week, some of the people that helped produce that were interested in my project. Well, during COVID, all that went
Right. Hey, but you
went
know what?
away.
It didn't stop
It
you.
went away. It just went poof.
Didn't.
And my book signing tour for in the hills of Tennessee, it went poof. So after all this, after the smoke kind of clears from COVID and we can kind of get back to sanity, I tried to keep working, and I did. I kept right on working, but getting everybody else to cooperate was hard. So I got back on the road, and through that, I actually met some people down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. I did a show for History Highway about Muscle Shoals. One of my history nuts that I work with, John David Thompson, he loves my music. He's always loved the things that I've done for history. And he said, "You're going to have to come to Muscle Shoals, Alabama." He says, "My wife's aunt is married to Jimmy Johnson." I said, "Okay, Jimmy Johnson, who are we talking about?" And he said, "Jimmy Johnson, have you ever heard of Sweet Home Alabama?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've heard of Sweet Home Alabama."
Yeah, who
He
hasn't?
said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, he produced Leonard Skinner." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, he's the one that basically discovered them." He said they were already a band, but he's the one that made them famous. I said, "Jimmy Johnson." He says, "I want to introduce you to him." And I said, "Okay." So we got the arrangements together to go meet Jimmy. And this was during 2019, I believe. It was 2018 in December. And We were doing a Mike Kent show up in Nashville, and Mike Kent Civil War show in Franklin, Nashville area. And we were getting it set up to meet with him in 2019. And right before the appointment, David calls and he said, Jimmy has fallen. He's sick. He's not doing well. And he winds up within a few days, he passes away. And so I thought this opportunity has gone, and I just had to accept it. I didn't get a chance to meet him. A few months pass, and then David calls me again. And he says, well, his wife, Becky, wants to meet you. She feels really bad that you didn't get to meet Jimmy. So in January of 2020, I went down to Muscle Shoals to meet with her, and she heard my theme song for History Highway. And she said, oh, that has bone. I said, it's got what? And she said, that song has bone. And I said, it has bone. Okay. What is it? It has bone. What does that mean?
Right.
And she said, well, Jimmy always had this saying. He said, if a song is good to the bone, and if it's good to the bone, doesn't matter who sings it, it's going to be a hit. She said, that song had bone. She said, that's one that'll stick with you. You'll walk, after you hear it, you'll walk away humming it. She says, that's what makes a song good to the bone.
Yeah, it is true. And it does do that very thing. I know you have music. It's apparent. You have music in your blood. I mean, your mom played the piano. She wrote songs and everything on, but very early on, you acquired the passion for the guitar.
I did. It was funny how that kind of came from commercials. I've always done radio jingles and things like all my life, but there was a local food company called Kelly Foods out of Jackson, Tennessee, and hey, we're cooking at the Kellys, oh, there's cooking at the Kellys, and it was, playing off the Irish theme because it was Kelly Foods and they had stew and things like that. So they would promote Kelly stew, and they had this jingle, what's cooking at the Kellys. And I would walk around the house, 4 years old, singing the song. And I had Tinker Toys, and so I built a little Tinker Toy guitar, and I'd walk around the house singing the song. And of course, parents all think, oh, it's so cute. I can't wait for everybody to see it. And then so, that's the thing that goes on. You're cute, and everybody mom, dad wants to show you off to everybody. Then they think it's getting a little more serious because I'm playing and singing and banging on everything. And so they eventually do get me a guitar. Of course, as most kids, you wind up with these little plastic guitars about the size right here. And so I really strummed on it a lot. So they eventually got me an actual guitar from Sears. It was still a plastic guitar, but it was something you could tune. And they saw that I really wanted to do something with it. But that guitar, because it's plastic bowed, neck bowed on it real quick. And so by age 10, they kept seeing me constantly doing stuff. So I went to a neighbor went to church with and borrowed a guitar. It was an old Western Auto guitar. This is a True Tone, I think. And they could see that I had the desire to learn to play. Wound up buying me a harmony guitar and started to learn to play it. By age 12, I was playing with a group called Uncle Bill and the Hillbillies. And by age 12, we were playing for square dances. And Friday nights, we'd play square dances. And on Saturday nights, we would be at a little place. It was a church. The black folk in the area had this church. They decided to build a larger church. And they had this little church to sell. And Bill Martin, Uncle Bill, he bought the old church building. And so we started having, on Saturday nights, having country western music there. And hee-haw was the thing at the time. So it was like watching hee-haw live. It was just hilarious.
Well, but that sounds like that's a lot of fun. You gaining experience under experience year after year, and it started early on in your life. I mean, right now with over 50 years in the music industry, I'm sure you've met and collaborated with some of the industry's guests. But who would you say are the legends that you admire and gain influence from?
The biggest influence, I guess, the first one that came on about age 15, the bug to go to Nashville. Everybody kept saying, go to Nashville, go to Nashville. And I said, okay, we'll do this. And so Mom and Dad decided to make the run. We went to the Ryman. Actually, I was performing on the Carl Tipton Show, which was a TV show. And so after we did that, we went to the Ryman. Got a chance to go backstage. Some friends had gotten us a pass to go backstage, and went into the dressing room of Roy Acuff. Who would have thought? But Dad had known Brother Oswald. Brother Oswald played the dobro for Roy Acuff. Dad had met him. Brother Oswald had a truck line, and so Dad met him through that. And he had a trucking business, so we met him. And he said, "Hey, I want you to meet Roy Acuff." And I said, "Oh, okay." So Roy kept saying, when I first came to Nashville, they were looking for talent. He said they were literally looking for talent to put on the Grand Ole Opry. He said, "Today we're inundated. We got more people than we can handle." He says, it's a dime a dozen to find people that want to sing country music. He said, "You have to have something that makes you different. You have to have something unique." And I'm going, I barely know what the word unique means. So, so how do you be unique? What can you do to set yourself aside? And it took me a while to find that. Had no idea that history would be one of the keys to it. But Roy Acuff gave me some very valuable information. Whatever you do, be unique. Be yourself, but be unique.
That's
Find
right.
something that makes you stand out.
That's right.
And so I said, okay. And he said, but also hang out with the people that you admire, hang out and learn as much as you can from them, and shut up and don't talk as much. Just listen. And I learned to listen. I learned to become that person that listens and listen to your elders. That was something I learned at growing up. So I began to listen to him and the different ones I'd hang out with. And it was amazing how doors would open. I'd get to meet all these different ones. As time passed, I went on the Bicentennial Wagon Train I mentioned earlier, and Mooney Lynn, which is Loretta's husband, was the Tennessee wagon master. Well, he kept hearing me sing around the campfire at night, and he said, I want you to meet Mama. And I said, all right. So when we got to Nashville to Percy Priest Park there, it's where the wagon train camped for 2 or 3 days. Loretta put on a concert, had a chance to meet her there, and they basically both told me, said, after the wagon train's over, we have a ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Come see us. So that's kind of what happened.
Hey, you have connections, man. Meet one person and the sky's the limit. But, from your distinctive sound, what I hear is like a southern rock bluesy tune with a pinch of country. I don't know. But you tell me, how would you describe the sound of Rick Revel and the type of music you make?
It's blend. I try to blend everything together.
Yeah. So was I close to it, sort of?
Yeah, you were, because it's Southern roots. So you have to look, where country music is today, it's just pop music, and they're trying to integrate rap and stuff. And if everybody can make a living at doing that, more power to you. But I'm a traditional music guy.
Right.
And so I was raised on traditional music. Everybody that I learned from and admire to this very day, like Loretta and people like that, they were traditionals. And so I want to take that music, but I want to make it appealing to present day generations and future generations. I want to make it something that they can love and cherish. And I have found in my research, once again, it goes back to history, the majority of the music that we listen to today, not all of it, but the majority of it, has Southern roots. A lot of it has roots that go back to to gospel, but you have the Celtics, you have all this different music. When it flooded into the South, you got all this sounds blending.
Yeah, genres are not the same. There are a lot of mixed genres and everything, and there's nothing wrong with it. Bring it. I mean, music is the best therapy there is, and there's always a song out there for someone. I mean, your latest album entitled That Muscle Shoals Sound is packed with 10 awesome songs. It has 5 award-winning songs. 3 of them have reached top 10. You have to be proud of yourself, pat yourself on the back for that right there. And like you mentioned before, W.C. Hardy, who's known, a lot of people don't know this, who's known as the father of the blues, which is the name of your award-winning song. Why is this album so important to you? And tell me about this song, Father of the Blues.
Well, once again, back to when we went to see Becky Johnson, and she introduced me to a lot of people there. We did a piece on History Highway about Muscle Shoals, and one segment covered W.C. Handy. It covered, he was born there. See, most people think, well, he was from Memphis. Even Mississippi tries to lay claim to it, but he's born in Florence, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had a chance to go to his cabin, go to where he was born, and it was so nice when you could stand where somebody else stood and know that they were raised there, and knowing the impact that W.C. Handy had on music. When I was in school, I was in school band, and I played the drums, but you had the horn section. A lot of the arrangements and a lot of the things that you do in high school band goes back to W.C. Handy. He had a band like that growing in the 1800s, in the late 1800s. And so he traveled the country playing music like that, but the way he played music eventually became how you would play music in high school band. And so his impact was tremendous, but hardly anybody knew his name. So I wanted to do a segment on the porch of his home where he was born.
How awesome
and
is that?
Pay homage to him. And so we set that up with the individuals. It's now a museum, and we set that up to do it. But I said, wouldn't it be great if I could sing a song on the porch and that song be about W.C. Handy? So I sit down that night at the motel where I was staying, began to hammer it out, and this could be good. And I had my resonator guitar with me, and I said, well, this would fit perfect to do a blues song on the resonator on the front porch. And so next morning, I wrote the last verse about his wife. Met her up in Kentucky. And so I began to put it all together, and it was all handwritten out. And I had my cheat sheets or my cue cards on typing paper or whatever I could find to write it on. And if you ever watch the video, we did a music video from it. If you ever watch it, you can't tell it because there's two bushes to the side on both sides of me, but I have my paper hid in the bushes.
Wow. Well, now I'm going to look to see, can I see those papers in the bushes? Because, we're going to.
It's funny, but you'll see me to turn my head while I'm doing this singing, but I'm looking at the lyrics.
You
in the
just
bush,
told a secret. No one knew, and that's just amazing. So you know what?
Yeah.
It's a great video also because I see your acting skills in there as well. So let's check out Rick Revel and Father of the Blues right here on the Queen Silvy Show.
Yep.
Mr. Handy, this is a great thrill to all of us to have you on the show because, well, you're sort of the dean of Tin Pan Alley.
Thank you so much.
How young are you now, sir?
75.
75 years old. I guarantee you when you hear him play his St. Louis Blues, you'll agree that Harry James is not going to be able to do it when he's 75. Would you play St. Louis Blues for us, Mr.
I'll be glad to do it.
Thank you very much, sir.
There was a boy from Bamaland. He was born with a trumpet in his hand. Oh, he was a music-loving man. W.C. Handy, the leader, wrote a band. This preacher daddy would always say, the devil's in the music you play, oh Lord, but he played it anyway. W.C. Handy, there's gonna be hell to pay. Now let me tell you, he fell in love. It changed his world. Oh, when he read that see Handy, the father of the blues. At Heaven's Gate, before he walked through, St. Peter shouted, "Got a place just for you." Oh, the angel band needs somebody new. W.C. Handy's in heaven playing the blues. W.C. Handy's in heaven playing the blues. W.C. Handy, the father of the blues.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know you have a gift, and you take some of your gift and you bless the world with so much. And we're honored to have you on the show. Now, see, I didn't know a lot of things even in that video. And you were on that porch, and then you had me looking at that video trying to find that piece of paper in the
Find
bush.
those lyrics. They're in there somewhere. They're in those bushes.
But very good indeed. You know, when it comes to songwriting, how do you master the art of songwriting? What's your secret?
Wow, I've had people want me to teach them how to write songs, how to produce TV shows, movies, and guitar playing. And I don't know, it's hard for me to do that. I actually gave guitar lessons for a while. And I used to give songwriting clinics. And it's like, how do you explain what God gave me?
Well,
it was born in me. So it's a little hard because I don't do guitar theory. And I don't say, well, you know, you're right. And I've had people, you know, have songwriting theories about, you know, you have to do it in a certain key and you have to do it in a certain pattern. I'm going, all I know is when I'm driving down the road, all of a sudden lyrics become something, you know, I might be a little hook line, but as soon as that hook line comes, I start hearing a melody around it. And all I know is that's a gift that God gave me. And it's like the scriptures talk about, you don't want to hide it under a bushel basket. You don't want to hide it.
Right.
You have, and you don't want to bury it. You want to try to make it multiply, and the only way you can is to share it.
You know, one thing that, let me interrupt, Rick, is the one thing I noticed about the lyrics that you wrote, and I was paying attention to the shuffle rhythm that you was putting with it. And I'm like, it fit so well. It gave it kind of a roadhouse feel to it, right?
Yeah. I wanted it to have, I wanted to be that, still that little crossover thing. I wanted it to have enough of that blues thing into it that a black audience would say, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then a white audience would go, oh, yeah. And so I don't want to reach one audience. I want it to be broad enough that everybody can sit, or at least a good slice of the general population can hear the song, appreciate it, and hopefully learn something and say, W.C. Handy, who the heck was that? And then maybe Google it and find out you know, blues and jazz music. Jazz, a lot of the licks that he did on his trumpet, Louis Armstrong did. So big band, jazz, R&B, blues.
Yeah.
A lot of that has roots from W.C. Handy. And if you don't know who that man is, you need to find out, because of him, we have a lot of this music today.
You
and so I
like to
bring that to light.
You brought it to the forefront. For those who don't know, now they know. And it's a great thing. But, you know, I believe that songwriting at its core is about connection. Not only the listener connecting to the way the music makes them feel or the journey that the lyrics take them on, but also a connection between the songwriter and the song. You agree with me on that?
I do. And that kind of goes to what my son-in-law, he sings. My daughter and son-in-law, they're fabulous writers and singers both, and he tries to do a lot of cover music, And I said, Nathan, I said, here's the key. I said, you're trying to cover a song, and if you're doing a song by a certain artist, do not try to sing it like that artist.
Right.
I said, you need to own the song. You need to own it.
Mm-hmm.
And as if nobody else has ever sung the song, you need to own it. Well, when you do an original, it's the same thing. You need to own it. You just don't need to sing the lyrics, sing the melody. You need to own it. So when I sing a song, hopefully the song may have bone to it, but I hope when you hear me sing it, it's coming from deep inside, from the bone.
Right.
I want you to know that it's coming from deep inside, and it's not just me singing a song just for you to passively say, "Oh, that was a nice song." I want it to have an effect on you because
Absolutely.
it had an effect on me. Because a
Absolutely.
lot of times when I'm performing, I get so deep into the song, like the W.C. Handy thing, I may be crying before the song's over because I'm feeling it.
Right.
Because
That's
I'm living it.
authenticity.
It's a difference. Yeah, there's a difference. You can sing a song, you can lip it out, but to make people feel it, to want to hear more of what you do, that's what I strive to do. I try to make it to where everybody wants to hear more of what I'm doing, because W.C. Handy's just a drop in the bucket. I've written over 1,500 songs, so I want you to go and dip your toe in the water and say, hey, what else has this boy got?
Well,
Because a lot of, go ahead.
No, finish. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of what I do is, I had a recording studio in Music Row for a year or two. And then I was doing what I call cookie cutter songs, because I was trying to write toward the industry. I'm trying to write songs that I can pitch. Pitch list goes out every week. You see what artists are going to be recording, so you want to pitch to those artists. So you try to write songs and produce them, get them out. We did all the demos in the studio. So you want to send those out so it appeals to them. So you go through that process, and it's like, I don't know whether I really like this or not, but you're still trying to get something that they'll buy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you write something that's coming from a deeper place, you try to write it so it's like a posterity thing. You want it to be where it's around forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to make a change during that period. Instead of writing toward what Nashville wanted and other people wanted, and you can go to my Spotify and you can hear some of those songs, and they're very traditional. They sound like what was done during that period, Alan Jackson and all the different artists that were out and that were hot at that time. You can hear a lot of my music and say, oh, that's an Alan Jackson song. Yeah, just Rick Revel singing it, but that's an Alan Jackson song. So I've got a lot of music like that. But when I did Muscle Shoals Sound,
that's your baby.
I wanted it so that's me. That's my songs. And that's a Rick Revel song.
That's right.
And if somebody else going to try to sing it,
they're going to
if they're going to try to cover me, they're going to have to own it, because I own that song.
That's right. That's right. Well, in your opinion, Rick, who's the greatest besides you? Who's the greatest songwriter of all time?
Well, I'm no greatest by no means, but far as Merle Kilgore tickled me. He was one of those that would write tons and tons of songs, and he would pitch them, and people like Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton would cut them. Of course, this is back in the heyday of country music, and you would never know that it was Merle Kilgore. Who is Merle Kilgore? I could say that name, and 99% of the country don't know who Merle Kilgore is. Mention Hank Williams Jr., well, they know who he is.
You're right.
But Hank Sr., Merle Kilgore, and his brother were waiting outside the hayride, the Louisiana hayride. They were waiting outside the door, and Hank Sr. pulls up, and Merle and his brother standing there and said, oh, that's Hank Sr. And so Merle gets all excited, and he runs over there, and the bass player has one of those doghouse basses, one of those big upright basses, and he runs over there and offers to carry the bass into the building, and that's how he met Hank Williams Sr. And then eventually they began playing with Hank on the road some and doing things with Hank Sr. And then Hank passes, a gap of time passes, Hank Jr. starts to emerge, and Merle Kilgore starts working with Hank Jr. and eventually becomes his manager. And So he did a lot of great songs, Wolverton Mountain and things. But that once again, that's from a different era. Uh, you know, Stapleton. I love a lot of Stapleton stuff is coming out now. He's probably one of my favorites now. Uh, but once again, he's doing a lot of that blues stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you've got him, but it's going to be somebody that's writing with that traditional feel that's going to appeal more to me. Uh, I went through that part where I felt I sold out to Nashville and I was writing the cookie cutter songs. So most of your writers today, they're cookie cutters. They're writing stuff just to get that pitch and that hit. Um, you know, yeah, I've had songs to chart. I'm an independent artist. I've had 3 in the top 10 recently, and that's a wonderful thing.
Mm.
Feel blessed that they've hit, but my paycheck compared to somebody on a big major record label just don't even compare. They're going to bring in far more money because they've got the promotional dollars behind it. I don't. You know, I'm the little guy living on the farm in Henry, Tennessee, out in the middle of nowhere, taking what little money I have, putting it back into my TV show, putting it back into my album, and you can turn around and spend $15,000-$20,000 just like that.
Wow.
And buddy, it's like,
It's coming. It's coming.
and
Rick, it's
how do you do
coming.
that and survive and survive? It's like, so that's who I'm competing against. I'm competing against the Stapletons of the world and the Keith Urbans of the world. I'm competing against
Yeah,
these
but
guys.
all of them don't have nothing on you. You know what I mean?
Thank
Blessings
you.
come in many ways. You know, we all
I
woke up
appreciate
today.
it.
So let's start with that.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
true.
and the
That's,
blessings that you're doing. Listen, your time is coming. I'm telling you, from what all I've looked at, it's here, and you're continuing to do this. Listen, you're leaving a hell of a legacy. You
well,
know,
thank you.
you really are.
You
And
you you hit on it there. Why do I do this? Now, I did it for Rick Revel because Rick Revel, when he was 20 years old, 30 years old, he wanted to be the star. So, you know, I've been through that phase of life where I wanted to be the star and be the next whatever, Garth Brooks or whoever was big at the time. A lot of people compared me to Billy Ray because I had the long hair back in that era in the late 80s, early 90s. And so I went through that whole phase. But then you have children, and then your children start having children.
tell me about it.
Yes, and then it's like, oh, and of course I've been a Christian all my life, and so that has a huge bearing on it also. And so you start having your grandchildren come along, and it's like, oh, this ain't about me.
Right.
It's not about what you take from this world. It's what you leave
Mm-hmm.
behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to leave behind something.
Oh, you are.
And I wanted it to be my music, and I wanted it to be History Highway, my books, whatever else I can get accomplished before they throw the dirt in my face.
Well, you are definitely leaving a legacy and great memories and doing a great job while you're still here above the ground. You are
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, but
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
write songs, I don't know if you mentioned it before, but do you write songs for others like currently today? If someone came to you and, would you write a song for them or are you just strictly doing your own thing?
Well, Chris Stapleton, that's my modern day hero of songwriting. You ask about who in the modern day, I guess that would be Chris, but um, he made a lot of money off of writing for other people. But then when Chris became Chris, I mean, when everybody discovered he had a voice and he could play the guitar and he could stand on his hind legs, then yeah, people still cut a Chris Stapleton. They'll still cut a song because they're anxious to get something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So would I write for somebody else? Yeah, I would. But when I write now, I'm writing for I'm going to be in the studio cutting it. So if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, would you write me a song?" Then I would have to live with them a little while. I'd have to be around them, see what their style is and what they're looking for. I could do that because
Mm-hmm.
I've written radio jingles and I've written songs on Music Row before, so I can do that. But today I focus on trying to get as many songs written as I can about the subjects. I've got a song called Singing River. It's the number 10 song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Leonard Skinner, and it's about Rick Hall at Fame Studio. that's who I want to write about. I want to write about these people that are legends that have changed music forever. If it wasn't for Rick Hall, there'd be no Aretha Franklin. And people will say, "Oh, I'm appalled that you'd say that." Well, talk to Aretha Franklin, and she'll tell you that's what changed her career. She was bombing out in Motown, and the Motown producers of her record label sent her down to Muscle Shoals because they kept saying, "This we don't know what's in the water. We don't know what it is, but it's got to be something."
Right.
So they sent her down there, and when she cut her next album, it was like, her
Boom.
career blew up, buddy. I mean, it blew up.
There's something down there in Alabama, I tell you.
It's in that
down
water.
Must
It's
be
in
the
that
water, yeah.
It's in that water, in that swamp water.
Yeah.
And so she did real well, and Cher went down there, cut an album. You'd be surprised how many albums have been cut there. So when I write a song, I want to pay honor to those that changed the record business and changed the
Sure.
music business. So Singing River, that's what it's about. It's about the Cherokee called it the Singing River. So Tennessee is actually an Indian name. It's called the Tennessee. And so
Right.
as the word evolved, and which means Singing River, and I thought, God, that would be a great title for a song, The Singing River. So I tell the story about how the Cherokee named the river, but then and it sings when there's somebody that passes away. It's singing in memory of somebody. So when Leonard Skinner's plane went down, I say in the song, in the lyrics, that I was standing by the river, and that's where I learned to sing the blues, was when the plane went down. And so
Interesting.
that's what it talks about in the song, is giving homage to people like Rick Hall and Leonard Skinner, and then I wrote that one about WC. So I'm trying to leave as much of this behind.
You
So
are.
hopefully somebody will hear the song and Google it and try to find out who the heck's Rick Hall.
Absolutely.
Because music-wise, people that's in the business, they'll know who Rick Hall is.
Well, a lot of people are going to be Googling and finding out a lot more about Rick Revel. Let's keep it real.
Well,
Rick Revel has a lot to offer. He has a lot to share, a lot to school people on, and that's fantastic. And then there's the music. But for somebody that's a songwriter or someone that wants to be a songwriter, what advice can you provide as to how to build a song?
If you're fresh and not, I have people, honestly, that email me or message me on Facebook a whole lot. I have a song, or I have a song idea, or I'm just starting out. I have people like that contact me all the time. And my best advice is I'll always ask them, who do you know that plays guitar, that's already singing and doing stuff? Of course, I find out first if they play music. Some do, some don't. But the best way to do it is to kind of collaborate and be around other people, because I didn't just start writing without, sitting out in the pasture by myself. When I started playing with Uncle Bill and the Hillbillies, like I mentioned, we were doing kind of that hee-haw thing, and it was all bluegrass and real old traditional country music. So I was around them a lot. But by age 12 and 13, it was like, oh, I started coming up with lyrics and coming up with my own melodies by age 12 and 13. Is like, oh, where's this coming from? And so, but I had to be around other people. And so that's I think that's the key, is not to be isolated. I think you need to be around other musicians, immerse yourself into the music world, immerse yourself in terms of play the music. Just don't come up with a bunch of lyrics. You have to immerse yourself in terms of the melody, the lyrics, the genre. And I think that's the key to it, is being so immersed into it that sooner or later, it's like pouring water into a glass. You have an empty glass that'll hold 16 ounces, but you have a gallon of water that you're going to pour into it. Eventually, that water is going to spill out over the top. And so what you want to do with your music is that very thing. You want to be so immersed in it that it spills out over the top. And when it starts spilling out, then it starts spilling out of your soul. That's where the lyrics come from. I've so immersed myself into the writing world that that's what happens. Now, that's my best explanation for an old country boy that can't teach you nothing. But
Oh, yes, you can.
that's how it happens for me, anyhow. So,
Well, that's interesting. And, a lot of people can, a song is a story, right?
Yes,
So
yes, ma'am.
so they keep
Yes, ma'am.
that in their mind. Take your
Hmm.
advice, and we have other people out here trying to write some hits like you.
Yeah. If you set out, if you tell you, it was kind of like goes back to what I mentioned earlier during the period that I said, I want to be a star, I'm going to be a star. If you make it about yourself, then it's a loser. It's a lose-lose situation. It has to be about the greater good. You've heard that saying forever, the greater good, but it has
Hmm.
to be about something you're giving back. You don't want to be taking away. If you're thinking about being the greatest songwriter in the world, that means you're thinking about, well, you got to take over this territory and overcome somebody. Go hang out with a Chris Stapleton. Go hang out with the people that are successful. I had a chance to hang around Byron Gallimore. Nobody knows that name, but you've heard of Tim McGraw.
Right.
Well, you never would have heard of Tim McGraw had it not been a Byron Gallimore,
Hmm.
who was a fellow Henry Countyan, who born and raised 15, 20 miles from where I live. We grew up around each other. When I did a recording session when I was about 18 and 19, he played guitar on it. And he's a great guitar player. And he vanished. I
Mm.
didn't know where he went to. Well, one day I go to Charlie Pride's publishing company. And who's running the publishing company?
The one.
Byron Gallimore.
Hey.
And guess what he's doing? He's starting to produce records.
Mm.
And guess who one of his first artists he produced was Tim McGraw, son of Tug McGraw. And that's how he introduced me. We were sitting in the office one day. I was playing him some of my music. And sitting at Charlie Pride's office playing some music. That's how I met Charlie, was there at his publishing company. Super guy. Him and his wife are just precious people. And sitting there, and he said, I want to play you some songs. After I played mine, he said, I want to play you some stuff. I just cut this young guy from, he said, his dad was a ball player. You ever heard of Tug McGraw? And I said, well, yeah. He said, this is his kid. And I want you to hear some of this stuff. And I said, yeah. And so he played me Indian Outlaw. And Don't Take the Girl. And I'm going, wow, that's some good stuff. And then the door opens, and in walks Tim McGraw, and he introduces us. And Byron had you remember these old Coke dispenser machines, it's little chest machines where you put your money in, you slide them out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like this. They're like
right.
You're telling your age now, don't stop.
But he had one of those in his office. And
That's
so
cool.
Byron said, you want a Coke? And I said, yeah. And he said, Tim, go get him a Coke. Tim McGraw got me a Coke out of that, and a little 8-ounce Coke he got out of there. And so that's my story of Tim McGraw, and I'm sticking to it.
Right.
But yeah, but see, nobody ever heard of Byron Gallimore, but they heard of Tim McGraw. So that I wanted to talk about those people behind the scenes that have made a huge splash and changed music, but yet nobody knows who they are. So pay homage to those like that. It's not what you take from this world, is what you leave behind.
That's
so
right.
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's right. Well, you're doing a dang good job. Pat yourself on the back again, because I'm sure you've pat yourself on the back before. Hey, you're doing a dang good job. But before we go out with another hit song by Rick Revel from the album That Muscle Shoals Sound, is there anything that you want to add or say before we go?
Wow. Yep. I want to thank you both for this wonderful interview, and I do want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for being my Savior.
Amen.
And for giving me this opportunity.
Well, I thank you
every
for taking
day,
the time
every
being
day
on
he
the
does.
show.
For the health, he gives me great health every day, and that to allow me to continue the fight and continue to do this. These grueling hours that I put in to do History Highway, and I produced 32 shows for History Highway.
Wow.
Did this album, and I do most of the work myself. I carry my own camera equipment out. I don't have this huge crew. When I pull in, it's me, and I unpack it all, set it up, do what I do. Billy Lawson helped me to produce this album. Wonderful producer. He has the Wishbone Recording Studio, Hank Williams Jr., you name it, Roy Orbison. Tons of hit songs were cut in that studio, and I've been fortunate enough, Lord bless me, to be able to work with great talent. And so all I can say is if you make it about yourself, then you're fighting a losing battle. Make it something greater, something bigger, and never leave the Lord out of it. Always keep Him in it. As long as you do, you'll have a good path of righteousness before you. If you don't, it's going to be a rough road.
Well said. So tell everybody how you can be followed on social media, where your books, you got merchandise, as well as History Highway. How can be found?
We have two main websites, rickrevelmusic.com and then just plain old rickrevel.com. Go to both. Both will lead you to our store. You can get T-shirts, or we have DVDs, CDs, books. So anything you want that's Rick Revel merchandise, we have it there. It has a way where you can leave a message if you'd like to book us to come into your area to speak or to sing or whatever. We can come into your area and do a concert. Try to look us up on Facebook. We're on Facebook and on X, or former Twitter. We're on all the social media, so look us up. Be glad to friend you, and you keep up with what we're doing and the progress. AME TV, do subscribe to it. It's doesn't cost you anything, free subscription. Check in the AME TV so you can watch History Highway and all of our TV shows that we produce, and love to have you come on board. Because I am independent, the more we have, the more you can help get the word out. We need that grassroots effort. That's all I can say. We need that grassroots effort. I'm going to make sure I put a lot of that out there for everyone, because I think it's important. We're losing ourselves, and a lot of people is, the political stuff. I don't do the political on the show, but I'm going to just scratch that one. Throw that one out. That's what I'm going to do. The song Hard Times in the Deep South takes a humorous look at a man's misadventure after a case of mistaken identity in a Mississippi bar. Yes, it's a fun song. It's based on an almost true incident that happened to me in Natchez, Mississippi. Fortunately, I didn't go through all the extremities that they went through, the video goes through, but it's based on some fun stuff I've experienced in my life. But it's a cool song. It is a hot blues song. This is kind of that rock bluesy thing. So kind of reminds you of a ZZ Top. So it's got a lot of Southern rock to it. It's got a little bluesy thing. And I get to show off on the harmonica. Have fun playing the harmonica on it.
We got a couple harmonicas behind us right there. We're music heads, by the way. We got tons of, I love music. I don't care what it is. I play the spoons. I didn't hear you say the spoons that you play the spoons. I do play the spoons too. In my David Crockett, when I do my David Crockett deal, I play the spoons too. So, yeah. I like that. But so what do you want listeners to take away from all the great music on the album?
Be ready for an experience. Don't just listen to the one song. Listen to the whole thing, because each song is a true gold nugget when you find them. There are 3 love songs on there. I have a precious lady in my life, and I've written the songs, those love songs about her. Love at First Kiss. It's actually nominated for the best rock song. Here's the fun stuff. It's hard to pinpoint me to be country, rock, what am I? So I've got Love at First Kiss. It's nominated in the best rock. She's a Bad Girl. It's nominated in the best R&B/blues. And then Southern Man in Strangeland is up for best country song. So diversity, that's something that means a lot to me right now, is being able to play in all the different multi-genres and have fun with it. So when you listen to the music, don't just listen to one song, and listen to the whole thing. It's going to take you on a journey. I'll take you on a musical journey.
10 awesome songs, by the way, on the album, that Muscle Shoals Sound. The song Hard Times in the Deep South is another great one by you. We're going to go out with that there. And I want to invite you back, Rick Revels, to come back and let's get into some more history, because you are the man who's going to school us all.
I'd be honored.
Absolutely. Well, let's go out with Hard Times in the Deep South by the one and only Rick Revel, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I am sick and tired of you being gone all the time. You're going to have to get a job closer to home.
Now, honey, don't go fussing at me again. You know I don't like it when you do that.
And another thing, if you're thinking about about celebrating at some hole-in-the-wall honky-tonk? Well, you already know how I feel about that.
There's nothing wrong with me getting a cold one. I do it all the time when I'm back home. Besides, I'm coming home tomorrow. Today was my last day on the job down here in Natchez. And when I get home, I promise I'm gonna have a big wad of cash.
Well, you better have a great big old wad of it when you get home, because the rent is overdue, the lawnmower won't start, the refrigerator quit this morning, and guess what? The sink is stopped up again. So you'd best be getting home tomorrow like you said you would, because if you don't, I'm just going to pack it up and go over to Mama's.
Hello? Hello? Well, I be danged. She hung up on me again. All that woman knows how to do is give me a hard time all the time.
I don't care what she says. I'm gonna go have me a good time, 'cause I'm gonna forget my ball and chain for a while.
Mississippi, an angry man just up and hit me. He said, my wife's been fooling around. I saw you kissing her downtown. I said, man, there's been a big mistake. I just got that kind of face. And when he swung at me again, Lord, I dropped him on his chin. And now I'm hearing hard times in a deep sound. Didn't commit no crime at all. I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. I'm tired of dragging that shackle bum, 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 bum. And I finally got my day in court. I gave the judge my best retort. And when he shook his gavel at me, he said, there's someone you gotta see. That crippled man standing over there, he's my son, and boy, I swear, you're gonna pay for that black eye. For 90 days, I'm gonna make you cry. And now I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. Didn't commit no crime at all. I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. Finally dragging that shackle, bum, 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 bum. When the warden finally set me free, I headed home back to Tennessee. And when I walked into my house, my crazy wife, she kicked me out. She said, I found somebody new, and he's a better man than you. And now it looks like from this day on, this poor boy's got no home. Now I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. Didn't commit no crime at all. I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. I'm tired of dragging that shackle and bum, 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 bum. I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. Didn't commit no crime at all. I'm doing hard times in a deep sound. I'm tired of dragging that shackle and bum, 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 bum. I'm tired of dragging that shackle and bum, 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 bum.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, double yeah. That was so great. Thank you so much. The one and only things. He is a historian. He knows history. He brings it to you through his TV show, History Highway. You guys, I'm going to have it posted so that you all can get connected. Learn something that you didn't know. Learn something you thought you knew, but you didn't know. The new album, that Muscle Shoals Sound, is 10 great sounds, award-winning songs that's on that album. You guys go and get it. rickrevel.com, on anywhere on social media you can find him. We showcased Father of the Blues. We also showcase Hard Times in the Deep South, but it's so much more, and we are presenting it to you. We want you to go and get it. Go get connected. Great
Check
merchandise.
him out a little bit more. You just got a taste of the guy. So.
Yeah, that was just a sample of the greatness that Rick Revel gives, leaving a great legacy of so much. I've learned some great things just by having this conversation with him, and I'm looking forward to so much more. Indeed. You know, today is Tuesday, by the way. I mean, some people forget. They're like, what day is it? It's Tuesday, and tomorrow is Wednesday. That's Tim's Tidbits. That's right. You are going to get mesmerized. You are going to love the stuff that he presents. Okay, some of it is political, entertainment, things you didn't know. You didn't know who's the asshole of the week. What? You better tune in tomorrow and find out
Man, are
who's
there
the
some
asshole.
contenders? Yeah, it's just a recap of the chaos throughout the week. Which, boy, what a plate full we have this week, folks.
Absolutely. You can catch Tim's Tidbits tomorrow. That's on Wednesday in the evening, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Do check your time zones, but join us for that. Then come on back on Thursday. That's the Now You Know show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim, where we present some inspirational, encouraging, motivating. It's really simply
It's a potpourri of entertainment. Queen.
It's a potpourri of entertainment from great kings and queens all over the world, presented it from the heart just for you. So tune around. Tune around. Yeah, tune around.
Tune on around.
Tune on around. But tune in for that there. We also have the show question of the week, where my good friends, my good kings and queens, video in their answer to the weekly show question. Then we end the show with a special video showcase. So you are in for a all-around treat. That is in the evenings on Thursday, the Now You Know show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And again, do check your time zones. Smooth's going to tell you how you can come aboard and be a guest on the Queen Silvy Show, how perhaps you'd love to be a part of the Now You Know show question panelist or start your own segment aboard the platform, as well as how we can be followed on social media.
That can be quickly accomplished, Queen, by looking at the above. Scrolling throughout the show, you can go to www.thequeensylvyshow.com. If you'd like to contact us, there is a contact tab. Scroll on down, drop us a message, and leave us your email. Otherwise, all of our past episodes, no matter if it's Queen Silvy Show, Tim's Tidbits, or Now You Know Show, are available on our YouTube channel. Simply on YouTube, drop in The Queen Silvy Show. You'll get all 3 shows as well as some other projects.
That's right.
And while you're there, please subscribe. We appreciate it.
So you know I've only had a cup of tea.
I'm ready to eat. That's why I'm kind of.
And now I'm ready to have, you already know, a plate of food. So with that said, I want you to go out, enjoy your day, your afternoon, your evenings. Make the most of that day. Be kind. Check on your family and your neighbors. But by all means, tune in for Tim's Tidbits tomorrow, the Now You Know show on Thursday, and come on back again for the Queen Silvy Show, because we aim to bring the best in live entertainment, talents, topics, and resources from around the world just for you. So with that said,
we're out of here. And until next week, same Queen time, same Queen station. We'll holla.
Bye.